Let's do a super speedy little comparison of how glucose and how ketones, how these fuel molecules actually get into your brain and how much energy they actually give you. And we're gonna figure out why ketones give you such quick energy. So glucose is getting into your brain through the GLUT1 transporter. This is glucose transporter 1, and it is all over your blood-brain barrier, and it allows for the facilitated diffusion of glucose into your brain. So glucose, sugar, is always just like dripping into your brain because your brain is very glucose hungry. Ketones get into your brain through monocarboxylase transporters, MCTs, and these MCTs are also all over your blood-brain barrier. So you have glucose getting in by facilitated diffusion through GLUT1, and ketones like beta-hydroxybutyrate, these are entering your brain through MCTs, also by facilitated diffusion. Inside of your brain, if we are doing the complete oxidation of glucose, which means that glucose goes through glycolysis in the cytosol, gives us pyruvate, then that pyruvate is processed into acetyl-CoA through the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex located in the mitochondria, giving us acetyl-CoA, and then that acetyl-CoA enters the TCA cycle, also in the mitochondria in the brain cell, in the neuron. That complete oxidation of glucose gives us about 32 ATP. When we are burning ketones, this beta-hydroxybutyrate, for example, enters the mitochondria in your brain, and it is very quickly, very easily converted into acetyl-CoA. Then that acetyl-CoA enters the tricarboxylic acid cycle, and it spits out huge amounts of ATP. So when your brain is getting energy from glucose compared to ketones, glucose has to go through all these extra steps. Ketones are very rapidly turned into acetyl-CoA, and that acetyl-CoA just hops into the tricarboxylic acid cycle and starts pumping out ATP. Or like, if we're actually going to talk about it properly, it's giving you NADH, FADH2, 1 molecule of ATP per turn of the TCA cycle. And then NADH and FADH2 are dumping their electrons into the electron transport chain, and that is creating ATP for you. Glucose has these extra steps involved. For ketones, actually getting the energy is very fast. This is why we can think about beta-hydroxybutyrate, a very popular ketone supplement, as rocket fuel, because it's just like bam, bam, so speedy. However, just because beta-hydroxybutyrate and ketones give you so much energy so fast, this does not mean that like glucose is irrelevant. Glucose is the most critical fuel source for your brain. Your brain is always burning glucose. The only time that your brain's gonna be running on ketones is if you are actually in a keto diet, like you're actually in ketosis, you're pricking your finger, peeing in a cup, and you're measuring your blood ketones, you're measuring your urine level of ketones, then your body's probably gonna be running on ketones. If you are in severe starvation or long-term fast, like a very long-term fast, so you are basically starving, then your brain also could be running on ketones. If you are taking an MCT oil supplement, maybe you have a few ketones running into your brain giving you energy. And if you are on a ketone supplement, like specifically ketone esters or ketone diol, then your brain is probably going to be running on ketones. Otherwise, your brain is probably always going to be running on glucose. There is always glucose available in your blood. Your liver literally specifically stores glucose as glycogen to maintain blood glucose homeostasis and ensure there is always glucose available for your brain if you are fasting, if your blood glucose is dropping, or if you are entering starvation. Part 2 of this video, I've prepared a little write-up because I realized sometimes I get like so jittery when I make these videos, I lose track of what I want to say and I miss important things. So here's my script. Now I'm gonna read you my script, TED Talk style. Okay, so we've compared how ketones versus glucose give your brain energy. Let's figure out, do ketones actually make you smarter? So ketones are able to improve cognitive performance, learning, memory, and attention. And these benefits can be either from taking ketone supplements, so So ketone salts, ketone esters, or directly taking beta hydroxybutyric acid. But you can also increase your blood level of ketones by taking ketone inducing supplements, so taking MCT oil, or by being on a keto diet, or if you are literally starving. All these things are going to increase your blood level of ketones. However, if we're comparing ketone supplements versus MCT oils, taking a ketone supplement, these are like directly increasing your blood levels of ketones. If you're taking MCT oil, then you just kind of have to hope and keep your fingers crossed that your liver is going to turn those MCTs into ketones. So with taking MCTs, there's no guarantee that you're going to significantly increase blood ketones. If you're taking ketone esters, you can be like very certain that your blood ketones are going to increase and your brain is going to be grabbing onto these ketones and just using it as rocket fuel. So comparing ketone esters, ketone salts, MCT oils, and keto diets, ketone esters seem to be the most effective at spiking blood ketones and actually giving you those cognitive benefits. So there's one really interesting study done in obese people, and this study was looking at the effects of ketone ester supplementation on improving cognitive function. And obesity is so bad for your brain. It causes a lot of dysregulation in blood sugar control. So in obesity, there's often a lot of hyperglycemia to high blood sugar. It's bad for blood flow and it's very bad for brain health. What this study specifically looked at was the benefits on cognitive function when obese participants were taking ketone esters 3 times a day. The study lasted 14 days. All participants had obesity with an average BMI of 33.8, which is like very large. Majority of the participants were middle-aged women, so like aged 40 to 60, and they were supplementing with ketone esters 3 times a day, 12 grams, and the ketone esters were supplied by HVMN. HVMN is a ketone making supplement company. So what this study actually found was that those who took the ketones, the obese participants supplementing with ketones, performed better on cognitive tests. This was largely attributed to increased cerebral blood flow. When these people were supplementing with ketones, blood flow to the brain improved, and this facilitated improvements in cognition, learning, memory, and performance on cognitive tests. One unfortunate thing about this study, however, is that going into it, the authors hypothesized that supplementing with ketones would increase cerebral blood flow, but they also thought that maybe the ketone supplements would increase BDNF, and BDNF is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it is critical at helping your neurons survive, grow new, strong neural networks, encode information. BDNF is critical for learning, memory, attention, and just cognitive function in general. The authors were hypothesizing, they were like suspecting that taking the ketone supplement would increase BDNF, which would further increase cognitive performance. They actually did not find that to be the case at all. There were no significant increases in BDNF when the obese participants were supplementing with the ketones. Now we are left with one critical question: will ketones actually make you smarter? And the answer is probably not. There are a lot of other things that you could be doing that are going to actually like make you smarter. These are things like working on your critical thinking skills, actively seeking out information, finding a mentor, reading books, not draining your brain on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and social media. If you are actively seeking out information, you are working on your critical thinking skills, and you are like finding a mentor, finding someone that you can learn from. These are all things that are probably going to make you smarter or like more intelligent. I feel like it makes me seem really unintelligent when I use these like little bunny ears. What a ketone supplement is going to be really good at doing though is providing your brain with more potent and highly bioavailable energy. So I guess that like could help make you smarter, when you are engaging in tasks of learning, engaging in like learning type activities. And in wrapping up this video, I'm going to share with you some of my best biohacks for improving brain health and literally just keeping your brain in tip-top shape. So number one, I eat a lot of cold water fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, and salmon. These are all very high in omega-3 fats, and specifically EPA and DHA. EPA and DHA are very well known to improve heart health, but specifically increase cognitive function. So it's increasing learning, memory, attention, and protecting you from neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. I also eat a lot of eggs, a lot of salmon, and chicken as well. These are all high in choline. Choline is very well known to help increase learning, memory, and attention. And what choline is used for, choline is a B vitamin as well, by the way. Choline is used to make acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is a very important neurotransmitter, and your brain uses acetylcholine to help encode memories. So whenever you are learning something or storing memories, forming long-term memories, you need that neurotransmitter acetylcholine to help your brain actually encode, lock in, and store that information. I also eat a lot of dark leafy green vegetables, lots of kale, spinach, broccoli, cabbage, and then a ton of blueberries and pomegranates. These are all high in antioxidants, lutein, zeaxanthin, chlorophyll, polyphenols, anthocyanins. All these antioxidant molecules reduce inflammation, promote blood flow, improve cellular health, improve mitochondrial health. And this is all so good for your body, but it's very good for your brain. That concludes today's little video. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already, and then let me know in the comments what you found super exciting in this video. I would love to hear any feedback you guys have whatsoever. And then you can go to my website, nutritionbyelsa.com. I'm gonna post my notes from this video there as a blog post, so you can read it, save it, learn what I do specifically, and then get all the links to the studies that I mentioned about the ketone supplements. Okay, goodbye everybody, have such a good day. But the key, what is so important to note though, is that, another very important